Welcome back to the New Zealand Top 10 here on Radio Control. I'm going to put my headphones on. Oh, so unprepared. But what we are prepared for is a special guest. We're lucky enough to be joined on the phone today by the beautiful Tali. Welcome to Radio Control.
Oh, Morena, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Welcome telephonically, that is. Not actually in the studio, but one day. You've got to make it down to Palmy one day.
I would love to, man. I've never even played there before.
Really? You've been around long enough to think you would have been here at least once, but...
No, I've pretty much I think I've only ever been to Palmerston once.
Yeah.
To a party years and years ago, but I've never played there, so it's on the card.
All right,
on the card.
Excellent. All over the world and still hasn't made it to Palmy, so on the card sounds good. So what's been going on with you in the last 6 months or so? For the national circuit, I guess you've kind of reappeared a bit. I'm sure you've been busy though. What's been happening?
A lot, obviously. I've got my new single out, Forces, which is the first single off my forthcoming album. And I've just been pretty much in the studio producing the new album over the last year and a half.
Right.
And just kind of this is my first foray into actually producing my own material. And it's been such an incredible process because it's been really liberating. You know, in the past I've kind of been not at the mercy of, but to an extent at the mercy of other producers that I've worked with.
Yeah.
So this time it's all been music that I want to make, vibes that I'm feeling on my time schedule when I can do it. And it's been really liberating. It's also been very humbling, because I've had to sort of really stretch myself as far as I can go and test my limits as a musician and a producer. So it's had its ups and downs, but for the most part, it's been a really positive process. So whatever the end result of the album is, whether people like it or not, I'm not that concerned with. I just have really loved the process.
Either way, you're happy. That sounds awesome. And you released the new single Forces quite recently, which seems to be getting a bit of attention and also features a bit later in our top 10. Tell us a little bit about Forces.
Forces was one of the earliest tunes that I made. So when I first started making that, I based it around the kind of drone that you get, that in the background. That was like a sample, and I built the tune around that because I just was I love that sample. And when I first made it, I spent about 2 weeks on it, and then I lost it. I accidentally deleted all the material. And I was so gutted because obviously I was that's a really strong, single. It would have really worked. So I just had to turn around and go back in on it. And I'm really glad I did because even in just the sort of, maybe 3 months between when I first made it and when I went back in on it, my production skills had improved. And so I was really pleased in a way because I had to go back in on it, be more precise, really figure out what I wanted. I added a guitar solo, got my guitarist Harry Leatherby to do a little jam on it. So it actually worked out for the best. And Forces is just a song about love. It's that whole thing of love being really awe-inspiring. It can be really destructive. It can be really overwhelming, very much like the forces of nature. So that's kind of my take on it.
Nice. Cool. And there's a video out for that as well with you not wearing a lot of clothes on a beach. Was that cold? We are from New Zealand. We understand how cold the beach can be. You got to have been freezing. Or was that middle of summer?
I'm not wearing a lot of clothes. I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm wearing a long floaty thing.
Well, not appropriate amount of clothes for New Zealand winters, that's for sure.
I didn't make it in winter. Let's be clear. I made it in summer, and it's on Katikati Beach in Auckland. So it was still relatively warm. The water in the ocean was pretty warm, but we shot it as the sun was setting, so it was about 8 o'clock at night, the shots of me on the beach. Yeah. So, it was getting pretty cold, actually, to be fair. Yeah. It was freezing, but, you've just got to do it, don't you? That's all part of the dying for your art, suffering for your craft.
And no one's paying you to head over to Rarotonga or anything to run around on the beach there, so...
No, they didn't get any funding. I applied for funding. I didn't get it, so I funded that video myself. I paid for that out of my own pocket.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was very fortunate that we live in New Zealand and we have access to really beautiful landscapes and also the people that I work with were fantastic. Sideways Productions, a brilliant production crew.
Yeah.
And also Sam Britton from Britton Motion Pictures, who shot all the GoPro drone footage. You know how there's the really high footage up in the air? That's all shot on a drone helicopter.
Oh, that's awesome. I was wondering that out over
nice.
the waterfall and things like that. It's like that's an expensive rig, if that's a rig, so...
Nah, man, it was cheap as chips.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. There you go. There's
worth every one of those chips.
some filmmaking tips out there as well. You also announced on your Facebook that Forces is getting the drum and bass treatment. Can you tell us any more about that, or who might be working on it, or is that top secret?
No, well, yeah, to an extent. Actually, nah, it's not a secret. Well, Trey is doing a remix for me.
Right, awesome.
Trey, yeah, I wanted like a New Zealand producer. I mean, the thing is that I did think about, what producers can I ask in the UK to remix it and things like that. But at the end of the day, we have really perfectly good, amazing producers here in New Zealand, and I've been very lucky enough to develop some fantastic relationships with people within the scene through touring and talking to them. And I've just had producers say to me, "I'd really love to remix your tune." And I think if a producer is feeling a song to the extent that they want to take their time to remix it for you when there's pretty much not going to be a budget, then I feel that producer is going to do the best job because they want to do it, you know. They're not getting paid, but they want to do it. It's their passion to do it. So Trey was one person who said, "I'd really love to remix Forces," and the other person is Danny Rhodes from Brisbane in Australia, who makes beautiful stuff with Packer and Rhodes.
Yeah.
And he was another person who said, "Please, can I remix the tune?" So, I'm letting him have a go. He actually just sent the tune to me last night, and I haven't had a chance to listen to it, so I'm going to check it out today.
Awesome. We look forward to that one for sure. And the new single, as you've said, does signal the start of, one of the singles off the new album. Can you tell us a little bit about the album?
So the album is kind of, I'm really influenced. This album I've been really influenced by. Little Dragon has been a big inspiration to me.
Yeah.
But then I've also been listening to a lot of Wu-Tang Clan because I love them. But really listening to a lot of the albums, Wu-Tang Clan, Gravediggers, and Apollo Brown. So that really, I'm really inspired by. On the Little Dragon tip, I love the real electronic, sparse kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Very cinematic kind of strings from Wu-Tang and Apollo Brown, really, really cinematic vibes. But then, you know, I rap heaps on this album as well. Like every second song, I'm doing a little sort of
awesome.
MC vibe, which in the past, you know, like some producers are like, "Oh, I prefer it when you just sing," or other producers are like, "Oh, I think you should just rap."
Yeah.
And on this album, I was like, "Yo, man, I'm gonna do what I like."
Exactly. It's all you.
Yeah. Yeah. So my influences have been, I've tried to make songs that are really cinematic. A lot of jazz influences as well, perhaps coming through in the way I sing. I feel like I've coined a new genre. Yeah. And that's gangster jazz.
All right.
So forget trap, forget dubstep, forget trungle, whatever else people are trying to. I'm doing gangster jazz. That's my tip. You heard it here first.
And like 20 years down the line, when everyone's doing gangster jazz, they can say this album was the seminal gangster jazz record.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as gangster jazz as I'd like. There's a lot of cinematic soul kind of feels, but I'm feeling this is a tip that I really want to explore more.
Yeah, awesome.
And I'm going to explore more, whether I explore it more on my next album as Tali, or whether I explore it as my alter ego, Rogue Nouveau, which is a jazz alter ego I had when I was in the UK. I had a jazz band.
Awesome.
So, maybe I'm thinking of bringing Rogue Nouveau back. She's a little bit naughty, old Rogue Nouveau, but she's a little bit of a gangster, so but total jazz. So yeah, so you'll hear a little bit of on this album, but I'm thinking of developing that more. There's no one doing that kind of shit in New Zealand.
Awesome, sounds good. And you, like you say, you've had a lot of international success, but I guess technically in terms of charts, yet to crack it in New Zealand. Is that the hopes with this album, or is it not really something you're thinking about?
Well, I have been in the New Zealand charts in other ways, like Providence, the tune I did with Ahori Bells. that made it to like number 14, and then my version of with Tikitane Summertime, the live version that I sing on, feature quite heavily on, that made it to number 8. So I'm like, oh, I've kind of been in the New Zealand chart. It's like $8 in my bank account.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know what? When I first got back to New Zealand, I was quite determined wanted to get in the charts and felt like I wanted to, win a VMA or whatever. But at the end of the day, that was just my ego talking. That was my ego feeling like it needed some sort of self-validation in order to prove, something. And, oh, God, I just had to tell myself to get over it. Like, at the end of the day, people see me as a certain way. Maybe they think that I'm a little bit, I don't know, like alternative for or something. But, these mainstream radio stations are never going to play my jams. I get that. I understand that now. And it's not something that I care so much about anymore. Like, in fact, I don't care about it at all. Like,
well, we got your back here, so...
Yeah, man, I want the cool cats to like my stuff. And that station's like yourselves,
Exactly.
You're the kind of people that, at the end of the day, are going to come to my shows and buy my tunes and actually connect with me. And that's all I care about.
Yeah. Without sounding like we've got an ego, I would prefer to get recognition from these type of stations than the charting ones, I guess.
Bro. I mean, what does it even mean, What does it even mean? It's like, it's all just a load of bollocks and egos and
money.
Like I said, for me, the whole process of this album has been such a pleasure, such a joy, that if some people can connect with it on a certain level, then I feel like that's just awesome.
Yeah.
Because I didn't make this album for anyone else. I made it for myself.
Yeah. So if it can get someone else, you've done your job.
Mhm.
Awesome. Hey,
I look forward to bringing it live down to your town.
Yeah. Our town specifically. Make sure keep it on the list. Old Palmerston North. So you've worked with a lot of different producers. Are there any we should be keeping an eye on from New Zealand that you're really enjoying or hope to work with in the future?
Well, I'm collaborating with Caleb at the moment on a tune, and Caleb's actually going to be in my band. He is my band. We're going to take my album live, with Caleb on Ableton duties. So that is quite exciting, and we might get a few musicians to join us here and there, just guests, like maybe a guitarist here and there, or someone on a violin or whatever, just a few people I know. But for the most part, it's the staff. And he's awesome. He's just incredible. He blows my mind every time I go in the studio with him. I'm just like, dude, you deserve just so much recognition. I've also been collaborating with Maya Vanja. I don't know if you guys know Maya Vanja. The two Croatian sisters. Yeah, gorgeous girls, both inside and out. And we've just written a tune together that we're thinking of shooting a video for next week before they head off to Croatia for the summer.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one to watch out for. They've got an EP coming out. I'm also feeling people like Bailey Wiley is a really amazing singer-songwriter with an incredible R&B voice. Laura Hunter, also a really awesome sort of folk singer-songwriter. And I've been working the last year with Rosa Dub, who is a young girl who makes dub and reggae kind of electronic vibes, and she's got a beautiful voice like Alicia Keys, man, and we actually just got her first festival for the summer.
Awesome.
She'll be playing at Kaikoura Summer Sounds next year, so pretty stoked with her. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well,
definitely one to watch.
Before we go, you from the, I guess, greater Taranaki region. We're from Palmerston North. We share some rural simplicity with the Naki. Do you have anything,
absolutely, man.
any words of advice for the budding musicians from somewhere kind of like where you grew up?
Well, I think that location should never be a hindrance, and if anything, it should compel you to want to get out there and take your music to the world. For me, being from a dairy farm in the middle of nowhere, I guess I was really lucky because I was just influenced by what I wanted to be influenced by. I wasn't so much at the mercy of what society or, like the city kids kind of say what's cool. I guess when you grow up on a farm, you're just into what you're into, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I guess it lends a certain naivety to a person as well. I think I was probably very naive and very green before I went out and saw the world. But now, looking back, I appreciate that naivety that I had, because I feel like it meant that I was forging a really unique path. I chose to do something that was so different and so unique, and that perhaps New Zealand wasn't ready for at that time, you know, to be a female drum and bass MC. And that's why I had to spread my wings and go to the UK and the rest of the world. So while it does have its limitations, being from a small place should always inspire you to do great things. And then when you do achieve those great things, you can say, look at my humble beginnings, and that it shouldn't be on pay. And he is one of the most talented people and most beautiful people I've ever met. And
oh, it looks like we're losing you a bit, unfortunately, but that is beautiful. Thank you very much for your time, Tali. We're going to go out with your new single,
No Worries.
Forces. All the best with the song, all the best with the album, and hopefully we'll hear and maybe even see you very soon.
I hope so too, man, and thanks so much for speaking to me. It's been really nice to chat to you.
Oh, absolute pleasure. Thanks, Tali. We'll see you soon.
No worries.
Alrighty.
See ya.